For our media preliminary exercise, we had to base the first 2 opening minutes of a film around mise-en-scène, really focusing on what's actually put in the shot to convey a certain feeling. For research, we watched the first 2 minutes of The Machinist and observed how mise-en-scène was used in that film. And we also did an exercise where we were given a word and had to draw a picture of a shot that conveyed that feeling, and this is what we did. Our word was frightened, and as you can see, the background behind the girl is all very dark, which usually is bad news. The girl herself looks very frightened, and she's got a dirty looking hand on her shoulder. Her eyes are blue to show innocence and how she's the one that's under attack. And the setting is an alleyway because nothing good ever happens in an alleyway. We then moved on to actually film our exercise, to storyboard and film it. We had to choose 2 words and go from the first one to the second one in that small space of time, showing clearly what's happening through mise-en-scène. We chose to go from dreamy to frightened. Most people thought that the shots were a bit confusing, the way that it was shot, and I think if we had more time we should have changed that and made it more clear what was happening. For example, when the girl goes to get a cup to put a drink in and she turns around and no one's there, it's unclear as to whether that's a mistake or the person has purposely disappeared, which by the way they have. Mostly the mise-en-scène that we used was quite good. We paid attention to both the diegetic and non-diegetic sound, and we tried to make the costume good. We tried to make the villains dressed entirely dark with their face covered, so it could have been anything to show how scary it was. The only issue was, well, the main issue, the villain was wearing bright pink laces, which didn't look very scary at all, and we should have paid more attention to that. It's all in the tiny details, and I think that's mostly where we went wrong. Some good feedback we got was that the shot where the girl's getting attacked and then wakes up was very well done, which I think it was, because the editing, there was no hesitation. It was an instant thing and you can tell what was happening, as opposed to the editing earlier, which I already spoke about, which didn't go very well at all. When watching The Machinist, we noticed that music was very important to show what was happening. It puts you in a certain mood, so we chose really dreamy, happy music to begin with, where she was in the dream just floating around, and then near the end, as soon as things turn sinister, the music gets slower and more frightening. And I think we chose the music well. The feedback seemed positive for that. I think the main issues and the things we could have improved were the minor details and some of the editing at the end.